Today, we are diving into a conversation all about hospitality, specifically to mamas and what that looks like. You just had a baby, you're coming home from the hospital, so excited, and so many people want to come and see your baby and love on them because who wouldn't? Duh, babies are cute, we love them. But there's one person that is sometimes forgotten about, and that's the mama. And if you're like, amen, sister, I've been there, then this is definitely an episode for you. And then if you're just kind of sitting there like, I'm not a mama, I've never thought of it that way, then this is absolutely an episode for you too, because we want you to leave feeling equipped to love on the mamas in your life in a hospitable way. So does that sound like a plan? Cool. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Refined Sisterhood podcast. We are your hosts, Maddie and Kate, and we are here to chat about all things motherhood, faith-infused entrepreneurship, and lots of real life.
We want you to leave feeling loved, encouraged, and a whole bunch of excitement for where the Lord has you right in this moment. We are so glad you are here.
So grab your coffee, matcha, tea, whatever makes you happy, and let's hang out and indulge in some joyful conversations. Hello. Welcome to the podcast. Caitlin and Maddie here. We are so pumped to have you listening today. We are so excited to talk about hospitality for new mamas today. This is something that's like so near and dear to our hearts because we realized when we had babies that it looks a lot differently than what we thought it would look like. And so, we're so excited. Maddie and I, we have babies. If you're new here, I have an 8-month-old. She has a 10-month-old. They're the cutest babies in the world. We're a little biased, but they're the cutest. But yeah, so we went through postpartum 8 and 10 months ago, or we're still kind of going through it a little bit, but we had our babies and had some of the best first few weeks, and people were so hospitable to us. But since becoming moms, we realized that like it looks differently a lot of times than like what you expect before having a baby. And so we just want to like kind of dive into this topic. And are you ready?
I'm pumped. I'm ready.
All right. Well, all right. So first we're going to talk about hospitality in general and kind of look at it from a biblical perspective. So we're going to talk a little bit about what Jesus says about hospitality.
Yeah. So when I was researching and diving into writing this episode, there was something that just kind of like had this shift for me. And I feel like the Lord was telling me we've got it wrong for so long. I feel like when you hear the word like hospitality, you think, what can I do for someone?
Yeah.
But I feel like as I was diving into the word and I was just praying through what this episode would look like, I feel like the Lord was telling me, like, I don't expect you to do all this stuff. All I want you to do is just be. And like, that's the same thing when it is compared to this. Like for so long, we've gotten it wrong. We think when we think of the word hospitality, we think it means doing something for someone. But like I said, if you really go to scripture and look at the posture and the character of Jesus, you see that we as humans have such a distorted view of hospitality.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I do too. Like until I like really dove into this, I was like, oh, okay. Heart check.
Yeah.
And it's not just about like cooking someone a meal, but also making room for people in our lives. And that's so big because, yes, it's when someone cooks me a meal or brings me flowers or does something really special, like it does make me feel special, but it makes me feel special in that moment.
Absolutely.
But when you create room for someone, I feel like that just holds a heavier weight and you're like, wow, they took time to just sit and listen to me, or they just took time to come to my house and talk to me, you know? And in Jesus, we see that hospitality begins in the heart. Jesus was the most hospitable, and that we're supposed to have the same characteristics as Jesus. He invited sinners to eat with him, and he invited the poor to sit with him. So for a while we were still sinners, Christ made room for us. So we should be doing the same.
Absolutely. And like Maddie was saying a while ago, we weren't made to just do. And God created us as human beings, not human doings.
Yes.
I'm sure you've maybe heard that before, but you know, we do things for people, and it is really nice to like do those things. And sometimes they come from a place of just wanting to serve someone, and sometimes they come from a place of like selfishly just wanting to feel good that you did something for someone. And so kind of like the angle that we want to come from is just like, when it comes to just being with someone and like making room for someone, it's really all about them. And you get to just like sit there and listen, and you don't have to like, I don't know, you don't have to like ask or tell your own story or like try to, I don't know, you hear these conversations where it's like people have a hard time listening and they always just want to talk like from their own perspective and be like, oh yeah, I understand that. Let me tell you about like what I went through. When in reality, like being hospitable, like the best way to do it is to just listen and to take it all in, and then like just to be there for them. And then if they need that encouragement or need whatever, like that's when you're able to like actually do. But being is so important.
Oh, for sure. And I feel like this is something ever since I had Keegan, it's way more at the forefront of my mind because I have a million things to do every single day. And so there's so many times, this specifically happened like a week and a half ago, where I just feel like the Lord is speaking to me and telling me to invite. And this is also something I pray for all the time. I always pray that like the Lord would open connections, the Lord would open doors throughout my day, whether that's at a gas station to be able to talk to someone, or I can see a friend having a rough day being like, hey, just come over. We can have coffee, and like, you can bring your baby. We can hang out. They can play. But there's so many times where, that's my heart and I want to do that. But I'm sitting here and I'm like, but my house isn't vacuumed, or like there's
the dog hair.
The dog hair. Oh gosh, the dogs. The dog hair, or like I have laundry to do, or I need to get this workout in, or whatever it may be. And it's all about myself. When you look at, I'm like, all these things are all about what I need to do, what like to help me out for that day. Instead, like those times where I'm asking and praying, the Lord would like allow me to invite people into my life and into it to not be perfect. And when I'm not willing to listen, even though I'm praying it, the Lord, like I'm going to miss out on something that's so big that the Lord could do. And so I wrote like in the outline, I put, instead of having a Pinterest view of hospitality, we need to just have the same posture of Jesus and invite connection and intimacy.
Preach. That is deep.
Mic drop.
But yeah, so we just kind of wanted to like dive into hospitality in general and let you know that like we see the point of view of like, okay, I want to invite someone into my home with a clean house so that like they feel at peace and like they're not distracted, and like it's this like comforting place. But God doesn't always call us to invite people into like the most Pinterest view perfect home. Like we can invite people and our house can be a disaster, and that goes against everything that my flesh tells me. But like at the end of the day, like in Romans, it says, share with the Lord's people who are in need, practice hospitality. And in Proverbs, it says, a generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. And it's not about you. It's not about like what you look like. It's all about like how you can be there for someone to be hospitable for them.
Yeah, I completely agree. And one thing I do want to say to what you just said is, when we are trying to make this Pinterest view, quote unquote, life, and we're inviting someone in to have these conversations with us or come to our house and our house looks perfect, or we just don't share or show the most messy sides to our life, what makes them want to feel connected with? Like, I mean, I probably wouldn't, and I'm not just talking about my house, I'm talking about everything in general. If I just put on, let's say Instagram, and I'm putting on like, I have this perfect life. My house is perfect all the time. My kid sleeps through the night, which is a lie because he has not slept through the night since I swear like a month old or whatever. Like how can people connect with you, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that hospitality is, like we said, it's one of those things that's been distorted, but we can like look into scripture and Jesus can change our perspective. And that's what we want to do. And so going off of that, since becoming moms, we have realized that being hospitable to moms looks a lot different. And that mamas at the beginning of postpartum are usually going through a ton of emotions, pain, feelings, like emotional, physical, like trauma, like all kinds of stuff. And I think that before I had a baby, I had no freaking clue that like it was that serious. Like I had always heard like, yes, labor is the hardest thing you'll ever go through and it's so painful. But like when my friends had babies, I was like in the hospital like the next day or like the day they had their baby. And now I'm like, oh, no. I can't believe I did that. That's so embarrassing.
Yeah. There's things that now, since we've had kids, I look back and I'm like, why did I ever do that for that mom? Like, why did I ask to come visit in the hospital? Why, like, I wish they would have just like offered if they wanted me to come, you know? Yeah. Instead of being like, hey, I'm going to be there at this time. Like, I look back. But I mean, you don't know those things until like, you know, you've gone through it.
Exactly. And so because there's so much going on, we have like kind of realized that there are certain things that like made us feel so loved during postpartum and after having a baby that, I mean, for the most part, it's the women in our lives who have already had children, like have done for us. And so something that made me feel really good whenever I was going through postpartum is, well, when there were tons of people who brought us food for like 2 weeks. I think a couple people, even like 3 and 4 weeks out, they would just randomly bring a meal by. And that was amazing. But specifically, like my mom came and stayed with me for a few days whenever Hunter went back to work. And that was so comforting to me. One, because it was terrifying a little bit for me to stay at home. If anyone knows me, like that's scary for me. But she came in and she like would do things that weren't necessarily like trying to take over like the mom duties that I had. It was more so like, okay, can I cook for you? Can I do your laundry? Can I just like, she was just kind of like there in the background. And then anyone who like, they didn't ask to come see the baby. It was more so like, hey, I dropped something off on your porch. Can you go out there and get it or whatever? Like that was like the sweetest thing. And like those are the really hospitable things that like stood out to me when I was in postpartum.
Yeah, same. Everything she said, my mom stayed with us for like a week and a half, and her job was not to take care of Keegan. It was to take care of me and to take care of whatever other things that we needed at our house, whether that was like, you know, helping me take a shower, helping me learn all the postpartum stuff because it's messy and like she's been through it, and taking care of Sean with whatever he needed and running our errands, doing our laundry, washing our sheets. Like she rarely took care of Keegan. Like it was more so taking care of me. But also I think one of the biggest things that stood out was I had a friend that sent flowers from, she doesn't live here, but she sent flowers from where she was. And it was just so sweet because she like didn't tell me. They were just on my porch, and I texted her and she was like, I didn't want you to feel like you had to have a conversation with me, so I just got them delivered. And like that was just so special because it was like, well, she was thinking about me, and that was so sweet. And
oh yeah, Maddie did that for me. I have a memory.
Honestly,
you did that for me.
I did, but I completely forgot about that.
Me too, until just now.
Surprise. But yeah, just like stuff like that where it's like just not coming over to sit with the baby, but instead like, Maddie, how are you doing? Because I think so many times people, obviously when there's a baby born, like people want to hold the baby. People like, why not? Babies are cute.
Yep.
And but one of the biggest things is us as moms have completely been changed. We, for 9 months, carried a baby, and then now we're not carrying that baby anymore. And now we're going through postpartum and our body changing and like, you know, all the after stuff of labor and delivery, and like and your hormones being wrecked. And for me, I cried so much for months. And so people like, they always wanted to see Keegan and hold Keegan and like, how's Keegan doing? And people they checked on me, and that was like so special. Not because I want it to be about me, because it's not, but it just made me feel really special when people would say like, I know Keegan's good. How are you? You know?
Yeah. And a lot of times the mama, I feel like, can be a little bit forgotten about, not by everyone, but I feel like so many people are just like, baby, 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 like, let me hold the baby. And I mean, I'm not going to lie, like, as a mom, you kind of put on a front, like, you're not sitting there in like miserable pain and like you try to fake it. Like, hi, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. And like reality, like I had a C-section and I had people at my house every single day for like 13 days straight, I think. And I remember the first few days we had family over and they would be like, how are you doing? And I'd be like, I'm good. I'm good. But in reality, it was like literally in so much pain from my like incision and stuff. And so anyways, we can sometimes not feel forgotten about, but it's sometimes easy to like forget about the mom because you're so focused on the baby.
Mm-hmm. So with that said, if you are a mama here or you have some friends in your life that are about to have a baby, or just for future reference, we want to share some ways that you can love on some new mamas.
Yes, loving on mamas is so sweet because you love on that baby. It's easy to love on a baby, but sometimes look, we got to love on the mamas. So first of all, like we were talking about earlier with hospitality, just make room for conversation, make room for just being intentional and like letting the mama talk, let her like tell you about her pain, let her like tell you things and just sit there with her and listen. And don't like, if you have had a baby or you haven't had a baby, either way, like you don't necessarily have to like agree or be like, I understand because I went through this, and this, or whatever. Like you can just listen and be intentional. And then when like the conversation calls for a response, you can respond with encouragement and like try in those moments not to like compare or anything like that. Because in those moments, mama is so emotional and like just in a lot of pain and like she's gone through a lot of trauma, and it's really easy to like naturally compare because that's what we as women do. Like, and it's not even always a bad thing. Like it's just cool to like hear different stories and you're like, oh wait, that happened to you. Like this is what happened to me. And that's great. But like try to be intentional in just being and listening and making room for the mama to just be able to talk her heart out. And like, and if she doesn't want to talk, she doesn't have to talk, but just like whatever she's feeling, make room for it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I had a bunch of friends that let me do this because I was kind of like the first one that had a baby out of our friends. So they had nothing to say other than to listen. They're just like, oh, okay, we're about to do this too. But another thing is willingly serve without hesitation. And in regards to that, like know your friend, your spouse, whoever, their love language and serve them in that way. For instance, my husband, his physical touch, or back up, his love language is physical touch. Mine is not. So if Sean tried to love me like that, especially postpartum, that would not have happened. My love language is acts of service. And so him doing stuff for me or my friends doing stuff for me, that just shows that they love me and they love me enough to like know what my love language is.
Yeah, agreed. Mine is, what is my love language? Wow, my mind just blinked.
Quality time?
Quality time. Yes, absolutely. Quality time is my love language. So naturally, when I had a baby, wanted to just like hang out with people who would like listen to me talk. And like also, I don't know, when you're postpartum, like quality time being your love language doesn't necessarily mean like going and being there in person. It could just simply mean like having a conversation over text message or even like a voice message conversation. And it could make like the mom, or like it made me feel like someone was there for me, like spending time with me without actually being there. Because like I said, I had people at my house for like 13 days in a row and I got really overstimulated and overwhelmed with that many people at my house all the time. And I wasn't mad about it or anything. It was just like really overwhelming. And at first it was really nice because I had people around me. But then after so long, it's like, okay, I need a moment to myself. And so like knowing their love language and like trying to serve them in a way that's like it makes sense for postpartum. That's really important. And so I doubt anyone whose love language is physical touch would actually want to be touched, but send them air hugs, you know. I don't know. But in general, like know their love language and serve them well. Yeah. And then, of course, instead of asking if you can come and see the baby, if you can come and hold the baby, cuddle the baby, instead of just talking all about the baby, you can say something like, hey, I just dropped coffee off on your front porch. Go get it. Enjoy. You can just ask how mom is doing. Like, try to make her feel just as special because, I mean, she did just birth a baby and that is like, she's freaking superwoman. And so just like asking and like making sure that you are making the mom feel like she is still important instead of like just asking, oh, how's the baby? Like, what did he weigh? Like, does he cry a lot? Like, are you breastfeeding? Like all this stuff. Like instead of asking those questions, just be like, hey, I want to serve you and I did this for you and I don't have to have a conversation with you. And yeah, so that's one way you can love on a mama.
The next two are run errands for that new mom. It's so hard. I did not understand how hard it is to like get out of the house with a kid. I don't even know how people do it with multiple children.
Well, not only that, you can't drive 2 weeks after you give birth.
Right. Yeah. Forgot about that.
Like you can't leave the house.
That is true. And like even taking Keegan to the doctor, like I remember it was like a whole night before Sean and I were preparing. Like we were like, okay, is this laid out? Do we have this? Do you have your pump? Do we have the bottle? And it was like so much stuff.
Yeah.
And like it made me be where I was like, I'm not leaving the house ever. Like unless it's required, I'm not leaving. And so having people those first few weeks like pick up our groceries, or we had people bringing us dinner, or running errands. I had Keegan 4 weeks early, so we had pretty much not a lot done. We had not a lot prepared, and so we had a ton of errands to be ran, and so many people were doing them for us. And then this is one that Caitlin and I can't resonate with, but I put this one in here because I know a lot of you do have older kids, and you might be having a new baby, or if you have a friend that has multiple children, this would be a good one, is babysit their older children. Get them off of their plate because it's hard enough to bring one baby home. I cannot imagine when you have to take care of older children with all those emotions, with your kids' emotions, realizing they're not the only child anymore, right, and just everything. Or I saw this idea that a friend did. She created a basket for her friend for the older kids of things to make them feel loved, but also entertained. So the mom and dad wasn't having to like entertain them all day long. That's and it made them feel really special because they're like, yes, everyone, all the attention was on this new baby, and they're still kids. They can't understand all the weight to it, but being like, oh, I did something that's going to make them feel special and entertained, so they're not going to have to be entertained by mom and dad. Yeah. Probably is really helpful.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And then lastly, a postpartum bath kit. Can we just take a moment? Like, that sounds amazing. I don't think you can okay, let me ask this question. Maddie, can you take a bath like after normal labor, like right after you get home?
That's a great question. I mean, I didn't want to, but I did like a few days afterwards. I think it says you can't. Like,
I was about to say, because I don't think I was allowed to, and I was afraid to because I had a C-section incision.
The paper says you're not, but like, who really listens to that paper?
Okay, well, regardless, a postpartum bath kit, or just in general, like any type of postpartum kit, because things are gross, things are messy, and just showing that like you care if you are close enough to that friend to be able to do that for them, like. Giving them a gift like that is going to make them feel relaxed and loved, and like just like they can like find peace again being a mom and everything. I definitely think that like doing something like some kind of postpartum bath kit, or the other bathroom kit, like anything that you can think of, if you're close enough to that friend to be able to do that, I think that would be really awesome.
Yeah, I agree. There's so much, especially when it's your first baby, you're like, okay, well, what do I use this for? What is this? Like, who knows? But just having all that stuff for them in case they do want to use it, or not even like, I'm not even necessarily talking about like pads and peri bottles. Like, I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking more so like, yes, the hospital gives you all that, but they don't give you this stuff of like that can help you rest, or like, a Starbucks gift card, or a new book, or a new blanket, or socks, or a robe, or like I don't know, stuff like that, where it just is like, you matter and I want you to feel special, but I also want you to feel rested and whatever that looks like. So I'm going to throw it in this basket. That would make me feel really special, you know?
Yeah, I love getting baskets of all kinds. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if it's a basket and it's all dressed up cute and it has like things in it that make me feel loved. Yes. If anyone ever wants to get me a gift. Yeah, I love baskets.
Well, okay. Wow, this was so great. And I just really love talking about this. When I saw that we had put this topic on for us to talk about, I was so excited because this is, like Caitlin said earlier, something that we recently have gone through and we plan to go through again one day soon. And so it's super exciting, but also like if you don't have any mamas in your life, or maybe you are a new mama, maybe this can resonate with you to know like, okay, this is how I need to love on future mamas, or maybe like it just helps you prepare for when you become a mom.
Absolutely. You know? So yeah, thank you so much for being here. We love being in your corner and loving on you. We hope that you have taken something away from today, and we hope that you approach new mamas and just being hospitable in general from a biblical perspective, from a Jesus loving characteristic perspective, and just be with people, make room for people, and be intentional. But if there's any specific way we can pray for you, head to our website, put it in our prayer box, or send us a DM, whatever. We also have a Facebook group. Go and join that, and let's have some conversations and get to know each other and build community. The link for that is in the description. We post new episodes every Wednesday, so come back next week because we want you to hear our next episode, and we will see you next week. Bye!
We had so much fun getting to hang out with you today, and we hope that you are feeling encouraged, loved, and full of purpose.
If you've enjoyed today's podcast episode, we would absolutely love it if you would write us a review so that we can hear how we encouraged you. And if you haven't subscribed, go do that right now. Also, you can join the Sisterhood by finding us on Instagram at The Refined Sisterhood.
Okay, friend, we hope you have the best week, and we will see you in the next episode.